People are talking about you, but not in the way you think. Pause for a moment and really feel that, because something has been shifting around you lately. You've sensed it. In the silence, in the way certain people look at you, then quickly look away. In the conversations that suddenly stop when you walk into the room, in the energy that feels different, heavy, charged, almost like something is happening behind the scenes that no one is saying out loud. This is not your imagination, and this is not a coincidence. God brought you here for a reason. Out of millions of videos, millions of voices, somehow this message found you, or maybe it's more accurate to say, you were led here, because deep down, your spirit already knows something deeper is unfolding. Something you can't fully explain, but you can feel it. There are conversations happening about you. In rooms you haven't entered, your name is being spoken, in places you've never seen. People are watching you, analyzing you, trying to understand you, because there's something about you that doesn't make sense to them, and that's exactly what's bothering them. You see, when God places a calling on someone's life, it doesn't come quietly. It doesn't come in a way that blends in with the world. It creates a disturbance, a shift, an energy that people can't ignore, even if they try to. And that's what's happening with you right now. People are talking, but not always in the open. Not always directly. Some of it is admiration, some of it is confusion, some of it is fear, and yes, some of it is jealousy, but none of it is random, because there is something on your life that they can't fully explain. They see how you've changed, how you've grown, how you've pulled back from certain environments, certain people, certain habits. They notice your silence, your distance, your focus, and it's making them uncomfortable because they don't understand what God is doing inside you. So they talk. They try to piece you together in conversations that happen when you're not around. They question your motives. They speculate about your next move. They wonder how you've come this far and where you're going next. But here's what they don't realize. What they're seeing is only a fraction of what God is doing. And that's where the mystery deepens. Because while they're talking about your Motivational life, your actions, your choices, your visible transformation, there is a deeper spiritual process happening that no human eye can fully see. God is working on you in ways that go beyond what people can comprehend. And that kind of transformation, it draws attention, not because you're trying to be seen, but because you've been set apart. You didn't choose this path just to be talked about. You didn't wake up one day and decide to stand out. No, something inside you shifted. Something divine began to pull you in a different direction. And now, whether you realize it or not, your life is speaking louder than your words ever could. And people are noticing, even the ones who don't say anything to your face, even the ones who pretend not to care, even the ones who smile at you, but speak differently when you're not there, because your presence is triggering something in them. It's exposing things, challenging things, awakening things they're not ready to confront. And that's why the conversations are happening in secret. But don't misunderstand this moment. This is not something to fear. This is something to understand. Because when God begins to elevate you, when he begins to prepare you for something greater. There is always a season where things feel hidden, where the movement happens behind the scenes, where the whispers grow louder before the truth is revealed. And right now, you are in that season. You've been feeling it in your spirit, haven't you? That quiet sense that something is changing, that something is being arranged, that doors are opening and closing in ways you can't control, that certain people are being removed while others are watching from a distance. It's not random, it's not accidental, and it's definitely not small, because what's happening around you is connected to something far bigger than what people are saying. So let them talk, let them wonder, let them try to figure you out. Because while they're focused on the surface, God is working in the depths. And what He's doing in your life right now is far beyond human understanding. What they're saying about you is only the surface of a much deeper truth. You felt it, the looks, the whispers, the energy around you. It's subtle, but it's real. The way someone studies you a little too long, the way your name comes up in conversations you were never part of, the strange shift in tone when people mention you, like they're trying to understand something they can't quite explain. And you've probably asked yourself, why? Why me? Why are people so focused on what I'm doing, how I'm moving, who I'm becoming? The truth is, it goes deeper than normal curiosity, because when someone is chosen, when God places a unique calling on their life, people don't just see them, they feel them. There's an energy, a presence, a difference that can't be faked or copied. And even those who aren't spiritually aware still pick up on it. That's where the whispers begin. Some people talk about you because they're curious. They can't figure you out. You don't react the way others do. You don't chase the same things. You don't fold under pressure the way they expect you to, and that confuses them. They watch you walk through situations that should have broken you, but didn't. Art. They see you stay quiet when you could have argued, walk away when you could have fought, grow when you could have stayed stuck, and it leaves them wondering, what is it about this person? So they talk, not always in a negative way. Sometimes it's just confusion mixed with fascination. They're trying to understand the source of your strength, your peace, your mindset. But then there's another layer, jealousy, not always loud, not always obvious. Sometimes it hides behind fake smiles and polite conversations, but it's there. Because your growth reminds them of where they're stuck. Your discipline highlights their distractions, your peace exposes their chaos. And instead of looking within themselves, they look at you. They question you. They analyze you. They talk about you in ways that make them feel better about where they are. Because, deep down, your life is challenging them in ways they're not ready to face. And you feel that too, don't you? That strange tension, where someone is kind to your face, but something feels off. Like there's another conversation happening somewhere else. One you're not meant to hear. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. Because when you're chosen, God sharpens your awareness. You start to feel things before they're said. You pick up on energies, intentions, unspoken words. Not because you're overthinking, but because your spirit is alert. And that makes people even more uncomfortable. Because now, it's not just that you're different. It's that you see differently. You don't fall for surface-level interactions anymore. You don't get pulled into every conversation. You don't seek validation the way you used to. And when people realize they can't read you easily, they start trying to figure you out from a distance. And that distance becomes a breeding ground for assumptions, for whispers, for quiet conversations, where people try to define you without ever truly knowing you. But here's what they don't understand. The difference they sense in you didn't come from trying to be different. It came from being transformed. There were nights they didn't see, moments of pain, of growth, of surrender, where God was shaping you, breaking things off of you, building something new within you. There were seasons where you felt alone, misunderstood, even lost. But you kept going, and that process changed you. It gave you a depth that can't be explained in casual conversation. It gave you a strength that doesn't need to be announced. It gave you a presence that speaks even when you're silent. And now, people feel it. They don't have the language for it. They don't fully understand it. But they recognize that you're not operating on the same level anymore. And that's why they talk. Because when something is different, people either try to become it, or they try to explain it away. Some will be drawn to you, inspired by what they see, quietly learning from your example. Others will resist it, question it, even criticize it, because it disrupts their comfort. But all of them, in one way or another, will notice it, will feel it, will speak about it, whether in admiration, confusion, or insecurity. And you don't have to defend yourself against any of it. You don't have to explain your journey to people who weren't there for the process. You don't have to shrink to make others comfortable. Because this isn't about fitting in anymore. This is about walking in what God placed on your life, even when it sets you apart. So yes, they're talking. Yes, they're watching. Yes, they're trying to figure you out. But none of that changes who you are, because what they are reacting to isn't just your actions, your personality, or your choices. It's something deeper, something they can feel, but not fully understand. But what they sense about you is not just personality. It's something spiritual. This goes beyond people. Something deeper is happening in the spiritual realm. What you're experiencing isn't just social behavior. It's not just opinions, gossip, or curiosity. There is an unseen layer to all of this. Something spiritual that most people can't put into words, but they feel it anyway. Because before anything manifests in the physical, it already exists in the spiritual. And you carry something in that realm. That's why your presence feels different. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift without saying a single word? Conversations change. Energy tightens. Some people become quiet, others suddenly more alert. It's like something invisible just entered with you, something they can't explain. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual awareness. Reacting to spiritual presence. You see, when God places a calling on someone's life, it doesn't just affect their external path, it transforms their internal frequency. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you carry yourself, it all begins to align with something higher. And even if people don't understand it consciously, their spirit recognizes it. Spirit always recognizes spirit. That's why some people are drawn to you without knowing why. They feel peace around you, clarity, something grounding, like being near. You brings a sense of calm they can't find elsewhere, but at the same time, others feel uncomfortable. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your presence exposes things within them they've been avoiding, unhealed wounds, high insecurities, misaligned intentions. It's like a light shining into places they'd rather keep in the dark. And that's where the deeper conversations begin. Because when someone feels spiritually stirred, they don't always know how to process it. So, instead of looking inward, they start speaking outward. They talk about you. They analyze you. They try to label what they feel so they can make sense of it. But the truth is, what they're reacting to isn't something that can be easily explained. It's not just your personality. It's not just your behavior. It's the spiritual weight you carry. There is a presence on your life that speaks before you do, a quiet authority, a calm intensity, a sense that you're not just moving randomly, but being guided, protected, positioned. And people feel that, even if they don't believe in it. That's why your silence can be louder than someone else's voice. Why your absence can be noticed more than someone else's presence. Why your growth becomes a topic of discussion, even among people who claim they're not paying attention. Because in the spiritual realm, you stand out, and not everyone knows how to respond to that. Some will try to get closer, hoping to understand it. Some will keep their distance, unsure of what it means, and some will talk about it from afar, trying to break it down into something small enough to feel comfortable with. But there's another layer to this, something even deeper, because it's not just about how people perceive you, it's about how the spiritual realm responds to you. There are things shifting on your behalf that you cannot see, doors being opened, obstacles being removed, contentions being aligned, and at the same time, resistance being stirred. Because whenever something significant is about to unfold in your life, there is movement behind the scenes. And sometimes, that movement reveals itself through people, through conversations, through attention you didn't ask for, through a sudden increase in how much your name is being mentioned, discussed, questioned. It's not random, it's a reflection of something bigger taking place. You are stepping into a different level, and the spiritual realm is responding accordingly. That's why things feel intensified, why you sense more than you used to, why you can't ignore certain feelings anymore. It's like your awareness has expanded, and now you're seeing glimpses of a reality that was always there, but hidden. And with that awareness comes a responsibility to not get distracted by the noise, to not let the whispers define you, to not shrink yourself just because others are trying to figure you out. Because what's happening is not about their understanding, it's about your alignment. God is positioning you in a way that requires separation, focus, and spiritual clarity. And part of that process includes being talked about, not as a punishment, but as confirmation. Because when your life starts to reflect something divine, it will always create a reaction. Not everyone will celebrate it. Not everyone will understand it, but everyone, in some way, will feel it. And that feeling will turn into conversations. Whispers, speculation, attention that seems to come out of nowhere. But now you know. It's not just people being people. It's something deeper, something spiritual, something intentional. And once you begin to see it from that perspective, everything changes. The way you interpret situations, the way you respond to others, the way you carry yourself through environments that once felt confusing. Because now you understand, this is bigger than surface level interactions. This is spiritual movement, and you are at the center of it for a reason. Not by accident, not by chance, but by design. The signs are already in your life. You just didn't realize what they meant. You thought it was random. You brushed it off, told yourself you were overthinking, tried to ignore that quiet voice inside you that kept saying, something is different. But now it's starting to make sense, isn't it? Because when people are talking about you for a deeper spiritual reason, the signs don't show up loudly at first. They appear in patterns, in moments that feel small on the surface, but carry a weight you can't ignore. One of the first signs is the sudden shift in how people respond to you. People who once understood you don't seem to anymore. Conversations feel forced. The connection feels thinner. It's like something invisible has come between you and them, even though nothing obvious has happened. And that's because something has happened, just not in the physical. You've grown, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You've stepped into a different space, and not everyone can follow you there. So, instead of walking with you, they start observing you, and observation turns into discussion. They begin asking questions about you, trying to understand the version of you that no longer fits into the box they created. That distance you feel, that's not rejection. That's separation for elevation. Another sign is that your name keeps coming up in places you didn't expect. Someone mentions, "Oh, I heard about you." Or you find out that people you barely talk to somehow know details about your life. Things you didn't announce. Moves you made quietly. Changes you thought went unnoticed. But they didn't go unnoticed. Because when there's something significant on your life, attention follows it. Not always openly, not always positively, but consistently. And that's what you're seeing now. Your life becoming a topic of conversation in rooms you're not even in. It might feel uncomfortable at first, even invasive, but it's a sign that your presence is expanding beyond your immediate circle. People are sensing your movement, even when you're silent. Another sign is the way people watch you, not casually, intentionally. There's a difference. You catch it in quick glances, in the way someone studies your reactions, in how they pay attention to what you say, and even more to what you don't say. It's like they're trying to decode you, trying to figure out what makes you different. Because there's something about you that doesn't align with what they expect. And that difference, it stays on their mind long after you've left the room, long after the conversation ends. You become a thought they can't shake, a presence they can't fully explain. And that's why they talk. Not always because they want to, but because they have to process what they're feeling. Another sign is the increase in quiet opposition, not direct confrontation, not open conflict, but subtle resistance, energy that feels off. support that turns into silence, people who once clapped for you, now watching from a distance, saying nothing, and sometimes even hoping you slow down. You might feel it as tension, as if something around you has changed, even though you've been moving with pure intentions. But here's the truth. When your life starts aligning with a higher purpose, it naturally disrupts environments that are not aligned with that purpose. And that disruption creates reactions. Some people will celebrate you, others will question you, and some will resist you, without ever saying it directly. But all of it leads back to the same root. You're changing, and your change is being noticed. The final sign is internal. It's what you feel when you're alone. That deep, unexplainable sense that something is happening, that you're being prepared, that even though things around you feel uncertain, there's a direction forming, a path being revealed, step by step. You feel more aware, more sensitive to energy, more disconnected from things that once felt normal, and more drawn to something you can't fully describe yet. It's like your spirit knows what's coming, even if your mind hasn't caught up. And that feeling, that's confirmation. Because while people are talking on the outside, something is awakening on the inside. You're being positioned, refined, aligned, and every whisper, every look, every strange shift in energy around you, it's all connected to that process. Nothing is random, nothing is wasted. Even the uncomfortable parts, even the confusion, even the moments where you question what's happening, they're all signs that you are not where you used to be. Signs that you are stepping into something greater. Signs that your life is beginning to move in a way that others can't ignore, even if they don't understand it. So don't dismiss what you've been feeling. Don't downplay the patterns you've been noticing. Don't silence that inner knowing that's been trying to get your attention, because now you see it. Now you understand. The conversations, the attention, the energy, the shifts, they all point to something deeper, something intentional, something spiritual. And none of it is happening by accident. All of this is leading to something bigger, something you've been prepared for. And once you understand this truth, you'll never see your life the same way again. You were never meant to be hidden, even when everything about your life felt secret. There were seasons when you thought no one saw you. Moments when you felt overlooked, misunderstood, even forgotten. Times when you questioned your path, wondering if you were moving in the right direction, wondering if any of it even mattered. You stayed quiet. You moved in silence. You carried things alone that no one else could see. And yet, even in those hidden seasons, something was being built. God was shaping you where no one was watching. Strength was forming in your spirit. Clarity was being planted in your mind. And purpose was being written into every part of your journey. You thought it was just isolation, but it was preparation. Because being chosen doesn't always look like being seen at first. Sometimes it looks like being set apart. Sometimes it feels like being pulled away from everything familiar, so you can be aligned with something greater. And now, you're stepping out of that hidden place, not because you forced it, not because you chased attention, but because it's time. And when it's time, you cannot stay invisible anymore. That's why people are talking. That's why your name is being mentioned in places you didn't expect. That's why your presence is being felt even when you're not there. Because what was once hidden is now being revealed. And that revelation, it doesn't happen quietly. It stirs conversations. It creates curiosity. It draws attention from directions you never planned. But understand this clearly. Being talked about is not a distraction from your calling. It is part of it. Because when God lifts someone, when He positions them for something greater, there will always be noise around it. Not because something is wrong, but because something is happening. You are not being exposed. You are being revealed. There's a difference. Exposure brings shame. Revelation brings purpose. And what is happening in your life right now is not meant to break you, embarrass you, or confuse you. It's meant to confirm you, to show you that you are no longer in the same place, to remind you that your life carries weight, meaning, direction. So, don't shrink. Don't silence yourself. Don't step back into the shadows just because the light feels unfamiliar. You were not created to live unnoticed. You were not designed to blend into spaces that cannot hold your growth. You were called to stand, to walk boldly in what God has placed on your life, even when others don't understand it. And yes, people will talk. They will have opinions. They will try to define you based on what they see from the outside. But they don't know the full story. They weren't there. In the moments God was working on you, they didn't feel the battles you fought internally. They didn't see the tears, the prayers, the surrender. So, how could they truly understand what you carry? They can't, and they don't need to. Because your validation was never meant to come from people. It comes from God. And when you are aligned with Him, no conversation, no whisper, no opinion can take away what has been placed on your life. You are chosen not by accident, not by luck, but with intention. And with that calling comes protection. Even when people talk, you are covered. Even when they misunderstand you, you are guided. Even when they try to figure you out, God is already steps ahead, ordering your path, guarding your purpose. So let them speak, let them wonder, let them try to make sense of something that was never meant to be explained in human terms. Because while they're talking, you're becoming. While they're watching, you're rising. While they're questioning, you're walking deeper into your purpose. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what God has already decided for your life. If this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, that's not random. That's confirmation. So don't ignore it. Embrace it. Step into it. And if you feel this deep in your spirit right now, go ahead and comment Amen as a sign that you receive this message. Let it be your declaration that you understand what's happening and you're ready for what's next. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what God is about to reveal in your life through messages like this. And share this with someone who needs to hear it, because they might be going through the same thing silently. And if this touched your heart, leave a like so this message can reach more people who are searching for answers just like you were. Because this isn't just about being talked about, it's about being called. And once you accept that calling, everything changes. You were never meant to be understood by everyone, only to be aligned with the one who chose you.